Welcome, superstars, to another episode of the Odd Couple of Real Estate. It's yours truly, Mr. Tycoon, the undisputed king of wholesaling, your personal guru when it comes to your personal and professional development. And I'm sitting here with my partner in crime when it comes to this real estate game and even life just being successful, Mr. Don DeRosa.
What up? What up?
Hey.
I gotta tell you, I was super excited to come today. You know, I texted you the other day. I said, okay, what are we going to talk about? And you said tools. Well, you know me. I'm Mr. Technology, so tools are
AKA Mr.
right
Gadget.
up my alley. So I was excited. So let's dive right in and talk about tools. What are some of your favorites?
Well, and again, I want to be clear when we say tools, what are we talking about? We're talking about tools that can be used in this business of real estate investing, whether you're a wholesaler, whether you're a fix and flip, subject to creative finance. There's tools to be able to determine if it's a deal or not. And one thing that we like to talk about also is that at the end of the day, and I heard you saying it recently, is that we're really not in the real estate business. We're in the marketing business. So yep. One thing that we got to know how to do is and be private investigators also and do research. So on jump into the tools of the day, the reason I came with that topic is because when we started, a lot of this stuff wasn't even in existence.
Nope.
Wasn't even in existence. And one of the hot ones right now.
When we started there, we had to put newspaper ads in.
Yes.
Do they even have newspapers anymore?
When the last time you seen a fax machine other than on a printer? You know, my printer still got a fax machine on it, but do people still fax though? I mean, that was a tool that we thought wasn't never gonna go nowhere. Faxing.
I haven't faxed in probably 2 years.
Right.
Because even if I have to send a fax to, and the only time I ever have to send a fax is to a bank. They still use faxes.
Right.
And I can usually do that digitally from my scanning app.
Right.
That I just scan it off and send it.
Right. Well, with that being said, we're going to jump on into the topic. One of the hot topics right now and one of the number one tools that you hear a lot of people talk about is PropStream. And I'm a fan of PropStream. And
me too.
I use it primarily for pulling comps, but I also use it now to pull a list that I get skip traced. And that's a whole nother subject matter because a lot of these tools have skip tracing ability within them. But PropStream is one of the number one ones right now. And I think me and you was talking off camera about that PropStream been around a little longer than what most people think. It's just that their marketing has improved.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about that for a second. You've got, think about all the products out there. Let's just go outside real estate. How many different brands of widgets are there?
Right.
Okay. So when you start talking about tools, we mentioned this earlier, that depending on who you are and how many seminars you've been to, you're going to go and listen to someone and they're going to sell you a tool or encourage you to buy a tool.
Right.
Now, typically that tool, they get a commission off of that tool, and they may be using that tool in their own business. So, for example, PropStream, you can go to our expert real estate coaching site, go into tools, and there's a link there for PropStream. And I encourage people to use PropStream and to go download that link for PropStream. And when they do that, I get a small, commission, stipend, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Commission,
right?
Yeah.
That's not why I tell people to go use that. If they choose to use that, fine.
Right.
But that's a tool. PropStream is a tool that I use in my daily business. There's lots of tools we use that we don't get commissions on, but we encourage people to use them. But there's a lot of things a lot of people out there will tell you that, and you'll go buy that or you'll sign up for that. But what they don't tell you is you may not need that right now.
Right.
Because the two things you need to make sure that you're careful of when you're brand new, if you're listening out there and you're brand new.
Two things.
You need to know right out of the gate how much time you're going to put into this, or you have think of it like a budget. How much time do you have? If you work a 9-to-5 job, how much time do you actually have? And other than that, what kind of money do you have? And when I say what's your budget, there's many different ways you can spend money. You can spend money on tools, but if you don't use those tools, that money is just thrown down the drain. So there's tools, but there's also marketing that will actually move the needle. So you need a combination of tools that help you market. So if you're limited on funds, you need to make sure that you're doing the marketing part of it first and not spending all your money on tools before you do any kind of marketing. So 2 things, time and money. What are they? Then you need to find out who your customer, who you're going after. Are you going to wholesale? Are you going to do a buy, fix, and flip?
Right.
Are you going after pre-foreclosure, bankruptcy, divorce? All of that takes a little bit of time and effort to kind of solidify. Then and only then, after you've understand that, how am I going to reach out? Am I going to text them? Am I going to do this? You're going to need tools there. And then what tools do I have? And then and only then, after all of that, now you have to create a system within those tools.
And to make it a little easier on Don, this is what we're gonna do, because we usually go about these 30 minutes, and that's how we'll break it down. Listen to you say it, I say, okay, we got all these lists. Because first of all, understand this: we do extensive real estate. We do a lot of things within the real estate industry. Primarily mine is wholesaling. And I would say, and you correct me, it's primarily yours, the fix and flip, or is it the creative financing?
It's a combination of both there.
Okay.
Combination of both.
Okay.
I do a lot of rehabs. I have a business partner, Chrissy Griffin, and we do tons of rehabs together.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right. Well, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to say, okay, what's our number 1 tool that we use for pulling comps? I like PropStream for comps. It does more than one thing. But then again, one of the other things you hear a lot of people talking about, lists. Which one do you like as far as list service? And that's where I would say one of the things that I've come to use it more for is for pulling my list. 'Cause I had subscriptions to other things like the vacant house data feed. It's not as effective as it was when I first got started with it.
Yeah, let's talk about each one of those. First and foremost, let's talk about lists. Okay, lists. When you start, well, you asked me, what was the first question you asked me?
First was on comps. And
what do I use for comps? Okay, I have 2 ideas there. Depending on your budget, if you want the free version, I'm going to tell you go straight to Zillow. Now, some of you listening are going, Zillow's not very accurate. And I would bet you $1,000 that you're wrong unless you're using the Zestimate. If you're paying attention to Zestimates, they are correct. Don't use those. Those are wrong. It's garbage in, garbage out syndrome. If you don't know where you're pulling the data from, then the chances are the data's wrong. But Zillow has accurate comps. If you're looking at the yellow sold properties, it'll tell you the date that it was sold. It'll tell you the amount that it was sold. Okay, it'll even tell you kind of how long it's been out there sitting. So that's as accurate as the multiple listing. So people argue with me all the time and they say, well, Zillow's not very accurate. That's because you're assuming I'm talking about the Zestimate, and I'm not.
Also, Don, they don't have your skill set. And again, when I say manipulate or use it more effectively.
Correct.
See, that's the challenge. They're not using it.
And that's where PropStream comes in, because PropStream comes in and you kind of set up what your scenarios are, and it'll tell you, it'll give you the comps.
Right. But even in that,
that's $100. It's free versus $100.
Right. And even in that, though, there's one thing where you got to exclude out the multiple purchases inside of PropStream, because there's another drop down box that a lot of people fail to realize when they say, okay, 6.5 million. That's because of the bulk sale that is part of the comps. And so they like, okay, I see 250, and I see 1.2 million. Oh, so the area is 2.5 million or 1.5 million. No, they have a drop down that can exclude that. And so what I'm saying is, regardless of what tool you may hear us discuss, you still got to know how to use it properly. I hate to use this analogy, but we say guns are not what's dangerous. It's in who hand is the gun in.
That's what. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, I can hand you a gun, but if I don't teach you how to use it, you're going to shoot yourself.
Right. Or shoot somebody else. Right.
Or shoot somebody else. That's right.
Right. So One thing we want you to understand is, as we talk about this too, the prop stream still doesn't do it all once you put that. Because one, you gotta know where the search goes. Even to search the property. How do you get into it, and how do you apologize for that? Let me go to quiet. First of all, and I can't get mad at these individuals, these scam calls. Do you need insurance for your warranty's about to run out? Because we use some of the same tools in a different manner. So when I get the call, I had to be like, okay.
They're just doing their job.
Yeah, they're doing their job. But they're using robo-dialers also. And I don't know how they get their list, because my car ain't been on the warranty in 5 years.
Well, a lot of times, honestly, I got a friend in Florida, and he's super uber successful. And he uses what they call a predictive dialer. If you're not sure what that is that's
another tool.
It's a tool, but it's similar. Well, Mojo Dialer, if you've ever heard of that, or Call Tools, those are what we call predictive dialers. And what you do is you take a list, you skip trace it, get the phone numbers, and load that list into that service. That service is connected to virtual assistants or someone in your office, whoever you point it to. And those phone calls go out, and you could choose to do 1 or 3 at a time if you're a small time. But, in his office, he's got multiple people, either multiple VAs. So that is how he like gets his phone to ring. But he literally takes the phone book. He buys a list from whatever county of every single person in that county. And he uploads that list, and he calls every single person.
Okay. And just for the record, those who are listening, that costs money.
That costs a lot of money.
And then it costs to have those people sitting there ready to take those calls from those individuals and be willing to get hung up on, cussed out, and all the above. And with that being said, we're going to jump from comps to my last one that I had on here, dollars. What do you like as dollars? As you said, I am a fan of Mojo. But again, I warn you or give you insight that it is not as easy to set up as
their advertisements.
I ain't gonna say the advertisement. As you hear the people say on stage, just get a Mojo dollar, just get $1.
Yeah.
There's a little more to it than that.
Yeah.
And this is why we big fans of, and why we are educators, to teach people how to do this. And both of us have teaching programs. And for mine, just in general, if you want to possibly look at getting in touch with me, you can just go to workwithmrtycoon.com and fill out the form. And Don, I know you got that new site, that
expertrealestatecoaching.com.
Let me show them how fancy you are, Don. Hit them with the display, Don. Hit them with the display. Go to you and hit them with the display. Oh, I told y'all we're getting better and better every week. And the thing is, I want to say this to you. As you start this path, you don't got to be perfect. Don't think about perfection. Understand you can get better. Look how he shot me up there. I am Mr. Tycoon. And you can IG me right there. Or, as they say, hit me in my DM if you got a question for us. And also, let us know. Ooh, it's getting better. It's getting better. Let us know how you like the title, The Odd Couple of Real Estate. As one thing that we both are big fans of is that this is a contact sport. I'm more high touch. Don is more high tech. And again, I like to find them and flip them. Don like to fix them and flip them. So that's where the Odd Couple came from. And then also, he's of a lighter hue, I'm of a darker hue. And it came from a show back in the day where we had one guy who was the well manicured, and the other guy was the athlete. Was he a sportscaster?
He was a sportscaster, and he was a slob.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
No, we're not playing on that part of it.
I'm not sure what the reference is there, but
it just hit me.
Yeah,
but,
he was the guy that left all. They were roommates.
Yeah.
And he would leave all his
beer cans,
and
the
food,
pizza box. Y'all got the
clothes,
picture. We're not saying that here, even though I do drive a Benz and he drives a
pickup truck.
A pickup, and it's really a luxury truck because it got just as much stuff in it that it has in my S550, if not more, because he got. I mean, not something that he made, since y'all can see me on screen. He got a thing where his iPad sits on it in his screen.
I go through the drive-through at not that I go through drive-thrus anymore, but when I used to go through
Yeah, because he's on keto now. He's on keto
fast
now.
food drive-thrus, and I would have the people at the window go, "Are you a cop?" Because I'd have this whole elaborate setup.
Yeah.
And when I would drive, because I mean, that's how we make a living.
Yeah.
So if you're at home, okay, let me say this. If you're a real estate investor and you're sitting your ass at home, you're not doing your job.
That's another topic, Matt. We're gonna get into virtual real estate because everybody want to think they can do it from their laptop, and there's a lot of things you can do from your laptop.
There is, but I'm going to tell you, all of it takes a skill,
Right.
and depending on the skill that you want to acquire. So, can you do virtual wholesaling? Yes, there are lots of people doing it, but I guess from a personal standpoint, I'm more of a traditional. Hands-on.
We want to see the project, even though you don't have to physically go to your projects now. You got a partner who goes to those projects, and we're not going to really get into that subject matter today. But if you think you're going to rehab a house and not go by and check on it, or somebody on your immediate team who got money involved check on it, you in for as we like to say, as our mentor told us, you in for a seminar because somebody going to take you to the bank.
That's right.
You got to inspect what you expect. So that's as one of the other gentlemen I used to listen to. That's a writer downer right there. You got to inspect what you expect. Yeah. And so dialers, as I said, I like Mojo as an auto dialer yourself.
I like Mojo.
And are you a fan of dialers?
Yes, okay. Especially if you're in a city that doesn't
state
that doesn't, like Florida, for example. Florida went through this whole lawsuit for text blasting, and I know text blasting it's under the FCC. It is a violation of the do not call, especially if you're using dialers. But at the end of the day, there's lots of people that are violating that. And if you choose to do something like that, then you take, I think it's $1,500 per call,
right,
as a violation. So you got to be careful with what you're doing. But some people go, I don't really care. I get text messages every day. Just understand, just like a subject to deal. I've done hundreds of them, but that doesn't mean a bank one day might not call it due.
And we'll talk about that subject matter another time.
But my point is, predictive dialers are a little more forgiving and they're a little more acceptable because there's a live body tied to it and there's some rules associated with that. For example, if you have one VA or you taking your phone calls, I wouldn't go more than one call at a time. So what happens is you load those numbers up, it dials one. When somebody picks up, it connects you. That's just like dialing live, right? So there's no violation there. Where the violation comes in is the automation. If you have, and you can use those, but even if, so for example, if you have one person and you do 10 at a time, you could get into a violation because what happens is you have a certain acceptable drop rate. And if you're dropping more calls, because what happens is it blasts out 10 numbers, and if all 10 people answer at the same time, it drops 9 of them. Well, the higher that drop rate is, the more the FCC frowns on that and could fine.
Unless you're a politician. But we're not going to get into that.
Yeah, well,
all right.
Rules are different there.
Right.
Rules are different.
Yeah, because they get to write the rules.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother subject matter.
As I say, not as I do.
Right. Okay, so that opens up. We went over comms. We talked about lists. Now we're talking about dialers. And next, big subject matter right now, text marketing or text blasting. I use Batch Lead. And honestly, I got to say this. I haven't had as much success as I hear some of my counterpartners. And I don't know if I'm not doing enough, or if I'm using the wrong system. And so I'm still looking at it. I have had some deals from it, but 90% of my stuff, and I know we're talking about tools, have come from my Driving for Dollars, which we can talk about one of the apps, and I'll go and knock it out right now. PropStream has a great tool inside of its prop stream that you can do your drawing for dollars with. And again, that's a whole nother subject matter. But I chose not to keep both Deal Machine and prop stream because I was using Deal Machine for my drawing for dollar app, and then you turned me on to one, and then I had one that I forgot all about, which was Home Snap, which is absolutely free,
Yeah, I mean,
$9.99.
if you're out there listening, you've just heard us rattle off about 4 tools or 4 apps or 4 things that you can use just for dialing or just for driving for dollars alone.
Right.
So if you're tuning into the show to say, okay, what are some of the tools that you're using? There's hundreds of them. And I'm going to go, I don't know if we were talking about, I don't know if I've mentioned it yet, about budget and time and money.
No. That's why I want to get to that point.
Okay. So if you're new, before you even think about what tools you're going to use, you have to think about what type of business your real estate business is going to look like. So number one, you have to have time to do this, and how much time is what. So if I'm a 9-to-5er, let's say I have a 9-to-5 job. Well, I'm only doing this on the weekends or maybe in the evenings. Well, my marketing, whatever I'm doing, has to match that. Or if I work 6 days a week, like when I worked at Airborne Express, I worked 6 days a week. Literally, I would wake up, go to work at 4 o'clock in the morning, wouldn't get home till 6 at night. The last thing I want to do, and I did that Monday through Saturday, the last thing I want to do is go driving for dollars. And plus you can't do that at night. You shouldn't do that at night.
Right.
So when you're matching what your time constraints are, and you also have to match with your money. And in marketing, and you and I have just had this conversation, you are not, I want you guys to think of it this way. You're not a real estate investor. When you first start this business, and even to this day, I don't consider, number one, I never consider myself as a real estate investor. I'm a marketer and a problem solver. That's it. I just happen to, you have to get good at marketing before you can be classify yourself as a real estate investor. And one of the biggest mistakes or biggest things that people don't do when they first get started in this is they buy into a certain amount of the hype and they want to be a real estate investor, but nobody really explains to them that you can't buy a house until somebody raises their hand and says, hey, I have a house for sale.
Right. Now, this is what separates us, and when I say us, me and Don DeRosa and Mr. Tycoon, is that we came through the school and actually got degrees from our mentor because he showed us every facet of his business and transaction engineer, and we find our own deals. Now, you do know 90% of the fix and flip guys, they don't know how to go find a deal.
Yeah.
So some of these tools, they will never even understand. So the audience that we're looking to talk to, as you have mentioned, who is our audience? Our audience are those individuals who want to do the business, but they want to know how to do it inside and out. They want to be able to find their own deal, even if they're not going to be a wholesaler, so that they can fix and flip. What is your take on that? I mean, I know we're kind of, I ain't gonna say off subject matter, but that's one of the key things that people miss is that a lot of the individuals don't even go find their own deals. A lot of fix and flip guys. I mean, we wouldn't be in business.
Honestly, that's a problem. In my opinion, that's a problem. And as the economy starts to slide a bit, it's going to be a big problem. Because if you don't go get your own deals, you never get in front of a homeowner. You're never going to learn how to negotiate, for one.
All right.
And when you don't learn how to negotiate, you're always going to pay more for the property. And if you pay more for the property, you may not make money.
It's possible.
And if you are going to if you're going to buy something, I say this a lot. Just be careful. When you first start this business, people want to buy stuff from other people, wholesalers, agents, whatever. And I will tell you, the easier the deal is to find, the more competition you will have, the higher the price you will pay, and the greater the chances that you don't make as much money as the guy standing up in front of the seminar tell you is going to make. Okay. Now I'm not telling you shouldn't go to an agent, or I'm not telling you shouldn't go to a wholesaler.
I hope you wouldn't.
No, of course not. But what I am telling you is you got to have an education about you so that you know that whatever they bring you, you know it's a good deal.
Right.
The age-old saying, trust but verify.
Right.
There are lots of great deals out there, but you got to be able to determine that yourself and not trust
What they told you.
what they told you.
As I like to say, verify the little white lies, because buyers lie, sellers lie, agents lie,
Correct.
wholesalers lie, your contractors lie.
I mean, I can tell you, I've probably looked at, today's Monday, but let's say Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I've probably looked at 30 deals that come through my email or come through the system from people that are trying to sell. Not a single one is any good.
Right.
That's the frustrating part of it.
Well, again, that goes back to being able to do your due diligence. So I mean, the more you look at, the more likely you're gonna find one that's in there, because it is a lot of garbage out there. Because while we do this and while we are educators and teachers or gurus, however person want to entitle, it's because we want to educate people on how to really do this business, and most people don't know how to do the business that's in the business, and that's what makes the business get a bad rap also.
Well, the other thing is, a good deal to me a bad deal to me could be a good deal to somebody else.
Right.
Honestly, they could be a good deal to somebody else. It's just it's my criteria. And that's another thing that I would tell everybody is, when you go in this business, make sure you have a buying criteria. Like, what are we call them KPIs, key performance indicators. What do you want? How much profit do you want to make? What kind of return do you want to make? And is there a loan to value ratio that you won't exceed? All of those three numbers I just mentioned need to be on your radar.
All right. Now, and I just heard you saying, maybe write it down. KPI. When did that come into existence? Because as far as in the real estate world,
key performance indicators.
Yeah, we didn't see that word everywhere when it came to real estate investing.
Key performance indicators have been around for as long as businesses have been around.
But I'm saying, as far as
investors,
real estate investing, or even in the people's marketing, now you hear KPIs. You gotta know your KPI. I'm like, okay. Now y'all done found y'all a word. Now you use it over here. And again, because I just break it down like this, and this is what I'm saying that separates me from a lot. And we just talking about your numbers. You gotta know what's coming in and what's going out. So we say key performance indicator. Okay, if I put out 100 signs, how many calls did I get from it? Oh, that's a KPI.
It is.
Okay, I understand that, but I just called it my numbers. But then again, we wanted to make it look, as a speaker, I understand it sounds sexy. It sounds like it's something else, when it's really just knowing your numbers.
Well, yeah,
what you're
it
doing.
is. Like, for me, I have three. I've had three from day one.
Right.
I look at how much my net profit is on each deal. I have to hit a minimum of 20 on every deal. Then I have return on investment, my ROI. I have to be above 25%. And then my loan to value ratio, when I do my numbers rather than just percentages, when I do my actual numbers, I have to be below 75% for me to buy.
Right.
75% load. And they all three have to hit that. So what does that mean? That means that my profit, even though it says I need to make $20,000, because I need to hit those other two numbers as well, my net profit typically is so that I hit those other two are typically going to be 40, 50 grand.
Right.
So that's my KPIs.
Right.
But let's talk about two. But
again, that is another tool. And again, I want to make sure we get this conversation finished. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, tools. We wanted the show to be about tools. So PropStream is a big tool for me because it gives me details of the property. I can run comps. I can do driving for dollars on it. It comes in an app. I can do it in my phone. I can figure out who the owner is, what taxes they've paid. I can run comps. I can see rental information. It's all kind of there at my fingertips. And keep in mind, when you have something that's an all-inclusive, just don't use it. Just don't, on any tool out there, Don't use it. The best advice I give you is don't rely 100% on it. It's a tool. It gets you close.
Right. Well, and that's why you got to always have an eyeball test also. That's one of the reasons that I love driving for dollars or getting out in the field, as you say, get from behind the screen, because there's a lot of tools out there. I just shared one with the gentleman just recently, InstaView. I don't know if you're familiar with InstaView.
Know that.
It's actually, you can put the address in and Google takes pictures of all these houses, but one of the challenges with it is that you got to look at the bottom of it and see when that picture was taken of that particular house. So if you just put InstaView, any address in the United States.
InstaView. Huh. I'll have to write that down.
See, I get excited when I know something that he don't know, because he's a technology guy. And so cha-ching, I need a buzzer or something to push something when I score. Score! That was a KPI, a key performance indicator. Okay, it didn't turn me all the way down, did it?
No,
we play with the technology now. Okay, so there that is, and we're gonna wrap this one up. But I got one more topic that I want to touch before we get out of here, because we're giving you some good information, but we right at 30 minutes, and I want to get these shows out of here in 30 minutes. Is this skip tracing?
Yes.
And I would like to take credit for it, but Don, you told me about this next one. The one that we both are in total agreement that I say they're doing commercials on for dating now.
Yeah.
You told me about this one. I don't know if you even remember. You told me
I've
years
been using
ago.
it for many years.
That's why I know. You heard me say
many years.
Years ago.
Yeah, many
So
years.
I would sit over here and act like it was mine first, but this the guy who gave it to me. Go on and share it with him, Don.
I think every single person needs, if I give you one tool, I would tell everybody out there, and I don't have any links or anything to make
I don't
any
have
money.
a link either. I don't even think they have.
I don't even
affiliate.
think they have any. But been verified is probably the
You should be hitting the clapping right there. You should be hitting the clapping.
Yeah,
right there.
the number one app tool, if you will, that every investor not wants, needs. Because when you're in this business, you're going to have to find a seller. It's not a question of if, it's just a question of when. And you can use a lot of services, like there's a lot of what we call batch skip services out there, like Skip Genie, Batch Skip, PropStream has theirs.
Deal Machine has
Deal
theirs.
Machine.
All of them have
all of them have them. But the difference is those are batches, meaning you do 100 at a time, 50 at a time, and you do it all at one time. But they're very linear. And what I mean by that is if I put 100 people in there and I skip that, it's going to come back. And if you're one of those, it's going to say, okay, Mr. Tycoon has these 5 phone numbers and then these emails and whatever else you ask for. But if I go through all those phone numbers and all those emails and I still hit a dead end, what do I do now?
Next.
Well, you can't.
You can.
That's what most people do. But the harder the deal is to find, the less competition you'll have.
As I like to say, the more dollars in the deal.
That's right. So the next step is to go find them through a been verified or a singular type service where you're going to individually search one person. Right. Because not only will I get the same numbers that I got from the batch, but now I can go sideways, meaning I can go to my wife or spouse, parents, grandparents, cousins, uncles, sisters, brothers, neighbors. I can find out if you had any kind of violations. I can find out if you've had bankruptcies. I can find out what your social media profiles are. All in that, because I can dive deeper.
All right. So there's the one that we both stand upon that, and again, it comes back to, are you the investor who are going to, in a sense, source your own deals? Whether you got VAs or any of that stuff, but you are looking to find a deal that you're going to fix and flip. You are looking to find that subject to house, and you're going to do more than just buy from a wholesaler or from an agent. But if you're just going to buy from an agent and a wholesaler and you don't need any research, none of these two is going to do you any good. But that's our show for today. Again, just a quick review. We're big fans of PropStream. We do.
Been verified.
Been verified, right there behind it. As I said, I use a Mojo dialer. One of the ones that I was going to share that's free is HomeSnap. It's actually going to be one that you can use for driving for dollars. And then I know you got a couple. And as I said, if y'all want more information on it, we need you to subscribe and also leave us a comment and say, hey, I want y'all to go a deeper dive into these subject matters. Or do you want to do a show on maybe 2 of them? And even do a live with you all, because one of the things that we're looking to do is make sure that we are as effective as possible. But we need your feedback.
Well, one of the things that people ask me, and I'll try to be brief, is text blasting. Even though we don't necessarily outwardly recommend that because of the violations, but text blasting. There's companies out there that, like, I use a company called REI Reply. It's like $49 a month. Great service. They know what they're doing. It allows you to send ringless voicemails. It allows you to send text messages, and you can set them up so that it's a drip campaign. So you can do a text blast, and then 2 hours later a voice blast, and then 2 hours later another text blast, 2 days later. So you can set all of that up.
Now, there is a fee once the text is going out per text. I know the $49 is a flat fee.
Yeah, so $49 is the service itself, and then you obviously have to pay for skip tracing.
Right.
The phone numbers to dump in there. And then you have to pay for a number that they make you get through. I think it's Twilio.
And let's do what we're going to do. I'm not going to say we're going to hold this information frame, but if that's something you want to hear more about, because, again, and that's one of the challenges that we have with these tools when people get them. They think, I just get it, and it's just set and ready to run, and they hit a $49.
Yeah.
And even in our description, we will throw our links if we are affiliate of these some of these products. But the thing is, we want you to understand the ins and full out before you go buy them. We don't want you to buy this and say, oh, this car didn't come with tires. Oh, this car didn't have an engine in it. Oh, there's no AC. That's without AC.
Yeah,
all these add-ons.
The biggest thing is, don't just go just because we tell you about a tool, don't go run out and buy it.
Right.
You have to figure out why you're using that tool and what's the purpose of that tool. And will it make you money? Will it move the needle? That's the biggest thing. Will it move that needle forward?
Right.
If you want more information, I have a website that I can put up there, and then Tycoon will tell you his in a second. You can go to Expert. This is a free site, by the way. You can go to, this is a community site. It's expertrealestatecoaching.com. And you can sign up there. There's some free tools in there. There's some tools that you can check out. You can ask questions there if you want. It's just a community it's like a network community. It's how I learned when I first started many years ago. I belonged to a site called Dealmakers Cafe with Matt Scott many years ago. And I met some awesome people, Jonathan Rexford out of Florida. I mean, we've been friends for 20 years. So when you go to sites like that, make sure you ask questions, because people will give you advice and you'll make lifelong friends. Because this business can be lonely if you're doing it by yourself.
Yes.
But now Tycoon, he'll tell you he's got an Instagram.
Yeah, you can find me at I am Mr. Tycoon on IG. That is I am Mr. Tycoon, if you see it right there. And then also you can find me at MrTycoon.com or on YouTube at Mr. Tycoon. You put the YouTube in and then you add the Mr. Tycoon to it. And also, if you want to work with me, you can find me at workwithmrtycoon.com. And there's a form that you'll fill out, and then I'll be back in touch with you. Get on my calendar.
I'm going to put something over your face here. Well, maybe not quite over your face, but
okay. That's
all my information. I need to get your little thing here up here.
We're still in the works. We're still in the works. So everything.
This was my weekend playing around, doing absolutely.
And I was in Vegas playing around, so I was working though. I was working, learning how to play crap, but that's a whole nother subject matter. And the game is some crap. And let me say this as we close this out. One thing that Don said that really stuck out to me is that you got to know how much money you want to invest in this and the time. Because so often people come into this business and they've just been fed so much hype, and they're so hurt. They're so frustrated with their
they're jaded.
Circumstances.
They're jaded because they do this and they listen to all this stuff with people at the front of the room, and they buy it and they think they're going to put it under their pillow and it's going to just.
All right.
And it, as you and I both say, it's a simple business. This is a simple business and it can make you a small fortune, but it's not an easy business.
Right. Because commitment costs. And so when we're talking about these tools, understand the commitment of your time and your money, and your commitment with that time, not just to doing the business, but learning the business. And that's one of the things that I appreciate about Don. He loves teaching. And I think, for what you see when you go over there to, is it real estate expert?
Expert real estate coaching.
Expert real estate coaching. I get the emails. I'll be like, he's putting out a lot of content.
I committed myself this year to doing one article a day, like how-to article or
Right. So we're gonna transcribe some of this.
motivational articles. One article a day for an entire year.
Hey, that's 365.
Yeah.
So if you're just getting started, go check that out. As I said, we are the odd couple of real estate because you can't just come pick my brain. You got to pay to pick my brain. So we'll talk to you all soon. Again, this is the odd couples of real estate. Yours truly, Mr. Tycoon, with my partner in crime, Don DeRosa, and we'll see you next week, same time, same place.
All
Stay
right,
tuned.
peace, everyone. We'll see you
Peace.
next week.